No.
Okay, I was just saying, it gets better every time.
Yo, hold on. I'm gonna.
We're good.
You good?
Yeah. Just text Jacob, tell him the live stream.
Extra bright on your seasons. Turn up the lights in here, baby. You know what I need. Want you to see everything. Want you to see everything.
Are you filming me?
Test drives, shooting stars, all of the lights, all of the lights. Until it's singing 7:30 up.
What's going on, guys? Can't hold my tongue here. Doing our NFL Week 2 recap. We'll be talking about all the games. Still got Week 2 going on. Actually, the Monday Night Football game's going on. But we'll be talking about all the games from Thursday and Sunday and bringing you our recaps and our takes about everything, as well as our power rankings. So let's get started.
What up, everyone?
So what do you think of Week 2? I thought it was – I didn't really have there wasn't really anything that really surprised me. I didn't think I didn't envision Atlanta beating Oakland, but Oakland's, I guess,
Yeah,
not
I was
a great
surprised by
team.
that. No, they're not.
Yeah, they're worse than I think we all thought they were, to be honest, because their defense was supposed to be really good with Khalil Mack, and they couldn't stop Matt Ryan, who has a really punch face yesterday.
You know, you guys know my thoughts on Matt Ryan. You know my thoughts. My biggest surprise was probably Tennessee. Like, even though that game was pretty boring, I was surprised. I did not see Tennessee going into Detroit and winning. So that was pretty surprising.
Well, I think we can also equate that to Detroit sucking.
Yeah, that's true. Matthew Stafford is on my list of guys I hate the most.
He's the second most.
I hate quarterbacks named Matt. It just must be quarterbacks named Matt.
Surprisingly, your name is Matt.
Yeah, it's funny that my name is. No, but yeah, I did really good in my picks. I guess the Arizona Tampa Bay game kind of surprised me. I picked Arizona to win, but I didn't think Jameis would be that horrible.
I still thought that Arizona would be a little rusty after that New England loss. I didn't think they were that great of a team. I know that they were gone into the season viewed as one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league, possibly possible Super Bowl contenders, which they are. But the New England game surprised a lot of people. Yesterday, it didn't surprise me that they won. It kind of surprised me that they won by a large margin, but let's also remember and take a step back that Jameis Winston's a young quarterback who was a rookie last year, and he struggled with interceptions a little bit last year, and he's just getting started to a second season.
No, I'm not going to kill the kid over one game. Arizona still has really good defense.
I mean, as great as he was last week, it was kind of a turnaround. Last week,
Yeah.
He threw 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. This week, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, or 4 interceptions. So it's going to go that way for him, I think.
Yeah.
As he grows
the Raiders, yeah, the Raiders' defense is horrible, by the way. They've allowed 69 points.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's pretty good.
As bad as the Bills' defense has been, we haven't allowed
69 points to 2 crappy teams.
We allowed 37 points to one crappy team and 13 points to another. So.
Speaking of that, another surprise is Cleveland scoring 20 points. What the hell's up with that? That's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, I remember when I got to Wild Wings yesterday, I got there a little late. I was like, what the – I was surprised that they were up on Baltimore so much. But then I knew that they were going to come back – or they were going to immediately lose their lead.
It's just funny how the Browns find ways to win. That unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, which was BS, by the way. But that's such a Cleveland thing to do. They find ways to lose. It's so funny. I feel bad for him because Terrell Pryor's my boy, but it was funny. I was laughing hysterically at that.
And they're gonna start their 26th different starting quarterback
That's
since
right.
1999. And they're
Cody
third
Kessler,
on the
baby.
season, which is like amazing. They have 3 quarterbacks
3
on the
weeks,
roster.
3 quarterbacks. Yeah,
Should that say something about their offensive line with the fact
I think
that
just
they have two
I think it
crappy
just says something about God hates Cleveland.
exactly.
He was like Cleveland, like finally is on the
The
right
only thing-
direction.
The only thing that they have got going right is LeBron.
LeBron James, best basketball player in the world, but he hates Cleveland Browns. Like they're on their way up, and God's just like, no. He's like lightning bolt. You like that?
Yeah.
Can we talk about that game? Can we talk about my Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah, Dak
Kirk
Prescott
Cousins-
getting it done.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins hasn't looked great so far. I know it's only week 2, but there's starting to be a little bit of panic going on from the Redskins locker room, which is kind of surprising, honestly, because Kirk Cousins was great for them last year, and he didn't start out that great in the beginning of the season. So I think we should all just take a step back.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine, but I think I think he'll be fine, but I guess apparently Jay Gruden called him out, and like 4 of their offensive players called Kirk Cousins out. Because he played a decent game yesterday. Was that interception was horrible. Like right to him in the end zone. That was horrible. I kind of
One thing I have to say is that the reffing has not changed a bit since the past couple of seasons.
Same old crappy
Last
reffing.
week, apparently, there was 16 missed calls in the Jaguars Packers game, which is just amazing. How do you miss 16 calls? I could see 1 or 2. And then in the Cincinnati games, there was a few decisive calls that really changed the game. First of all, they called Tyler Boyd. They called him for a fumble.
Knee was clearly down.
Knee was down. Then they reviewed it, and they still upheld the challenge, which was really
I knew they would, though.
And then the tight end for Cincinnati, he had a clear touchdown. They didn't call that. I mean, I guess Lewis could have challenged it, but there was like 8 minutes left, and it didn't really look like a touchdown on the field. But still, I mean, if it's close, they should always be calling touchdowns because at least you can review it. But these refs just haven't been great so far at all.
Yeah, that was crap. Yeah. Well, the refs are always gonna screw up stuff. Like that's.
Yeah, I know. It's
like
really
there's nothing
unfortunate
about that.
I'd have to say
Yeah.
my actually biggest surprise would be the way Sam Bradford played last night. I thought he looked really, really good. And
Played great, yeah.
people were saying that this is the best team that Sam Bradford's been on, and they were wondering how that might affect him. And last night, he really looked like a true top 10 quarterback. I mean,
Yeah,
we'll
he
really
looks
see how
really
that
good.
changes over the season. But Stephon Diggs is a true number 1 receiver.
He played
He's
great
really
yesterday.
People were comparing him to Antonio Brown, and I could see that. He's just great over the middle, yards after the catch, very smooth route runner. He's not like the biggest guy, but he still can score, rack up yards, and is a very underrated player. He's a 5th-round pick from a year ago. He went under a lot of people's radars, and he's right now looking like one of the better young receivers in our league.
Yeah. So I think the Vikings could go far, but it does depend on like the news we heard today. Peterson tore meniscus. Looks like he'll miss some time.
He could play next week, apparently.
He could, but I've torn my meniscus before, just last year actually, and it does take definitely at least 3 to 4 weeks. Damn, nice catch, Jeffrey. And so it takes at least 3-4 weeks to recover, but that guy is superhuman, so he'll probably, yeah, you're right, be back next week.
But they haven't even really needed him so far. I mean, with that defense, and he's averaged 1.9 yards a carry, which is probably his career low.
Yeah, and even if they like go 3-1, like if they play the Giants at home, that's a win. And I think who do they play next week?
Carolina.
Yeah, they'll lose that game probably.
Because it's on the road. But besides that, I really think that they're clearly the best team in their division. Green Bay just doesn't have the offense. Even despite having Aaron Rodgers, the run game hasn't really improved despite Eddie Lacy cutting down the pounds, and their receivers just can't get open for Aaron Rodgers. Their defense looks better, but I don't see this Green Bay team being the true Super Bowl contender that a lot of people thought they were several years ago.
I'm with you. I think it's going to take
Or
time
this year, I
for.
should say.
I think I'm with you. I don't think that they'll make. I think Rodgers and Nelson, the connection. People, they've lost all chemistry. That's crap. He's his second game back. I think they'll be fine. But I'm with you. I don't think that, like we talked about this at the beginning of the season. I thought the Packers were by far the most overrated team. They really have no defense. They don't have a whole lot of weapons. Randall
Right
Cobb
there.
is probably his best receiver right now. He's not really a true number one. So Devontae Adams is like hands like stone, and that O line is crap. So I don't think the Packers are gonna go far if they even do. Aaron Rodgers, who's overrated, not the best quarterback in the NFL anymore.
Yeah, he
And-
hasn't been for a couple of seasons since that MVP season. What's really
like-
funny? Remember that Bills game in Buffalo?
Yeah, dude, the Bills
He hasn't
messed
been
him
the
up.
same because last year
Dude.
he didn't start off great.
He was
I
not.
know they were.
Well, he
they were
started off
great.
good last
They
year.
started out
No, it was
okay. The Denver game,
When Denver
which
played him, they
exposed
killed him.
but really we're going back to his incredible 2 interception season. He throws 2 versus the Bills, and they don't even end up going far at all in the playoffs.
Well, they made the
Seattle-
NFC
Well, they made it,
championship.
but I mean, they had a home field bye versus the Cowboys. I mean, and that was off a botch
Which was
call.
crap.
Yeah, you could even
Yeah,
debate
don't get
the
me
fact
started
that
on
they
that.
shouldn't have even made it, and they had a home game. So to
Don't
be
get me
honest,
started on that, Ben.
I won't.
Oh my God, I'm so mad about that.
That's the game where you became a Cowboys fan, coincidentally,
I was been a Cowboys fan for like 7 years.
since Troy.
Who just scored?
I think Langford did.
Oh, okay, good. Haha, Pat Skillo.
I'm
Shout out
beating
to
your
you.
mom, I think.
Pat Skillo.
Did I
Pat
beat your
Skillo
mom yet?
is a god, by the way.
Love
Love that man. Shout out to you. Yeah. So what else we gotta get into?
Oh yeah, we're just continuing
Talk about
talking.
the Seattle game.
Oh,
man.
Seattle game.
What the heck is up with?
What the heck is up with them? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really know, to be honest. Last week they put up 12 points versus the Dolphins. They shouldn't have won that game, but they got lucky and they did. But I don't really think the Seattle team is any good, really. A lot of people were picking them to make the Super Bowl, even win the Super Bowl, even beat Arizona in their division, which I honestly found surprising considering the Arizona has a much better overall team. And the only thing Seattle really has is the Legion of Boom and Russell Wilson. Their offense is not cutting it at all. They don't have a running game. They're not putting up any points or anything on the board. 2 weeks, they have 15 combined points. And they lost to the Rams, who are probably one of the worst teams in football.
Yeah.
It really says a lot. They have to turn things around, or else they'll struggle to even make the playoffs, I think. I still think Arizona will win their division, and that means they're going to have to fight with teams like Minnesota, Green Bay, or
Minnesota, Green Bay.
NFC East teams.
There may be two AFC East teams this year.
NFC.
It looks like the Giants. NFC, excuse me. Looks like the Giants are doing pretty good. Unfortunately, my Dallas Cowboys.
And even the Eagles are playing better.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think anyone from the NFC South, excuse me,
No,
besides
I
Carolina.
don't. Atlanta
Yeah.
will probably not win more than 8 games. You look at Tampa Bay.
If you have Matt Ryan, you won't go far.
Tampa Bay has improved, but they really depend on Jameis Winston. And if he struggles turning the ball over like he did against some of these better defenses, they're not going to win that many games.
Yeah.
The Saints aren't that great of a team, even though their defense is actually yesterday looked pretty good against a pretty solid Giants team on the road. They weren't great week 1 versus the Raiders, but the Raiders still have a pretty good offense. They've scored 35-plus points every game.
Yeah.
And
back to the Seattle game. Jeff Fisher, like as much as I hate that guy, he really does have Seattle's number. Out of the last 6 times they've played, he's beaten them 4 times, which is like unheard of for Seattle. Been one of the better teams in the league the last 4 or 5 years. So
what did Jacob have to say about that?
Shout out to you, Jacob, the running man, over at my crib the other day watching the game. He was almost in tears, man. He was raging, trying to break stuff. I'm like, dang, son, I knew they were going to lose that game too. I picked Seattle to win, but I had a
I
feeling.
honestly
That's funny.
I didn't think that the Rams could hold hold the Seattle's offense
Yeah.
because their defense looked
And
so
Gurley-
bad week 1.
He even went off, or didn't go off. Excuse me. He had like 57 yards. So he didn't even really do anything. The fact that you lose to Case Keenum, excuse me, kind of sad. I know Wilson wasn't 100% healthy, but still, they're the Rams. They suck.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. What's funny is it's San Francisco who actually got within 7 points late in the Carolina game before they just fell apart. They may be the best team or the second best team in their division if Seattle was suddenly terrible. Which I don't think.
I don't know.
I don't
because
think Seattle is making the playoffs this year. I'll just say that.
I could see it. It's because of Colin Kaepernick's afro. That afro's giving them powers.
Exactly. And Chip Kelly, as much as some people may not like him or view him as a bad coach, he's still every team he's gone
He's a
to.
decent guy.
He's done decently. He did terrible last year with the Eagles. The year before he did
Yeah,
great, but he made the playoffs. Yeah, it was past
They
2
would
years.
have made it 2 years in a row. They would have made it 2 years in a row, but Foles got hurt. They probably would have made it.
Yeah, they still went like 10-6 was
10-6.
which should usually
with-
get you a playoff spot.
But yeah, the NFC was stacked that year.
Yeah.
They had like three 12-win teams or something. It was crazy. What else games we gotta get into? That Broncos-Colts game.
That wasn't surprising to me.
Dang.
Luck, I knew
Yeah,
Luck would keep them in the game, but ironically, he was also the reason they lost. Their defense wasn't great, but he did have 2 turnovers, and I know the last one wasn't really his fault. But on 3rd and 15, that was just a terrible pass.
That was a horrible throw
his
right to Talib.
Pick 6. Third and long, you should always either run the ball or throw like a slant or a screen pass.
Yeah, that was a horrible decision, especially against the Broncos defense. Like, that secondary is incredible. Like, they're going to pick that off all day.
And it ended up costing them because at the end of the game, they were down 6, and they had a chance to win the game, but there was only 2 minutes left, and they haven't really been moving.
No timeouts. I literally told my girlfriend, she was over, and I'm like, watch this. I'm like, Von Miller, 58, she doesn't know that. I'm like, 58 is probably going to get like a strip sack, and they did. So I knew that was going to happen. That Denver's defense is incredible. Von Miller right now is my MVP. 4 sacks, a forced fumble.
If he scores 30 sacks, he will be. If he
15. He's not gonna win MVP, but he is like
sure.
he might he's the MVP right now. Like, obviously, like
It's
I don't know,
gonna
like
change.
Ben Roethlisberger is probably gonna win it, but yeah. So
That's another game we covered a little bit. That was crap. Another game I want to talk to about is Miami versus New England. New England was rolling until Garoppolo got hurt. And then Miami, they did score 21 points, but they're still awful.
Yeah, Miami is a horrible team.
They scored 21 unanswered points. But
their defense
going up against Jacoby Brissett. If they didn't have 4 turnovers in the first half, they probably would have won that game. They just kept digging themselves hole after hole, and they would actually get into New England's territory, and then they would just throw a pick, fumble the ball away, which just wasn't great. Adam Gase, you can see like changes in that Miami team, but I still think they're the same old team.
They played deep pretty good up in Seattle last. I mean, they didn't play good. The Seattle just didn't play a great game. They were kind of in there.
Houston they're not the surprise team, but I really didn't think they would be this great. I knew they would be good. Like, I picked them to win the AFC South. I didn't envision that they would start off so hot, though, and beating the teams the way that they did with just their offense looking very dominant and their defense playing great. Kansas City's got a pretty not a high power, but they got a pretty good offense, and they completely shut them down yesterday.
Yeah, I don't remember, but go back to our original picks. I think I had Houston as the number 2 seed. I don't know if that's true, but I think I did.
Yeah, you did.
So I think Houston, I'm picking them. I'm going to have that. I got them winning on Thursday night, especially against Jacoby Brissett or whatever the hell his name is. So Houston starts at 3-0. They still got a tough schedule. They got go to Denver, Cincy.
Any divisional game is tough. You know, their division sucks.
Yeah, divisional.
Well, most of these
no,
teams
Andrew Luck always plays them tough. Yeah,
a lot of these teams have been terrible for years. So the Titans and Jaguars have always played them tough. I know they look like guaranteed wins, but Tennessee could be underrated. If it wasn't for themselves shooting themselves in the foot, they would have beaten Minnesota last week, and they beat Detroit with a huge comeback win the other day after not having much of an offense or anything. And then Marcus Mariota brought them back, and their defense was able to hold up and secure the victory. I'm not saying they're a great team, but they could still end up causing some trouble. They're better than Jacksonville, which is kind of surprising. Tennessee, I thought, could have ended up having potentially two picks in the top 5 because of the trade for not Carson Wentz, but Jared Goff.
They might still have one.
LA, they could still have one.
They might. Well, they may still have 2. It's still early. You never know. So yeah, that's the thing is people are freaking out about everything. Like, oh my god, whoa! It's like, yo, it's week 2. Chill out. Like, yeah, there are things that you can look at and be like, okay, maybe it's time to panic a little bit, but like, people need to chill.
I think also that one of the biggest storylines this week is that Bills deciding to fire Greg Roman. What do you really think about that? I know as Bills fans, we've all read all the opinions and we've all seen it all, but I really want to get your thoughts on it.
I'm not a fan of it, but I was talking to Sal Capaccio earlier, and he says that Sammy Watkins, I guess, didn't like him at all. He says he feels like he was holding him back a little bit, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but I guess a lot of Rex didn't really agree with a lot of things he said, but Rex Ryan's an idiot at times. So I don't know. I feel like the Bills are right now saying, "Oh well, we didn't like him anyway," because like they're just saying that. But from a fan's point, I don't think it was a good move. You could see the increase that how much better the Bills' offense was last year with Roman. He may not be the best coordinator in the world, but I think he's better than Anthony Lynch or whatever. Wasn't a fan of the move. Anthony Lynn, whatever.
I think Roman has actually had a pretty solid resume as an NFL coordinator coming into San Francisco, having a pretty high-powered offense there with Kaepernick.
Yeah, he brought
them to the Super Bowl, helping them go to the Super Bowl, several NFC championships, and then, of course, there was an epic collapse back in, 2014, I think, when they ended up deciding to fire Jim Harbaugh and clean house, which was the worst decision that organization has ever made because they've not recovered since. And that was not a good decision to get rid of Harbaugh, who's turned around one of the worst college football programs in college football in Michigan. They were terrible under, Brady Hoke?
And they're still horrible. I'm just kidding.
No.
They're a good team.
They're good.
They are a good team. But
the funny thing is, last year they hardly had anyone picked in the NFL draft, and they still were a top 10 team.
Yeah, something like that. They'll have a lot.
Ohio
pretty good
State
players.
Lost basically their entire team except 3 starters on offense and 3 starters on defense. So it's going to be interesting. They're going to get more. Obviously, they're going to get some NFL just because the recruiting, and they haven't really had any of his recruits.
Michigan already had one of the top recruit classes, and this was Harbaugh's first. I mean, I know it was the coach last year, but it was his first year. This is his first actual year of coaching a team he's had control of. So,
but even the thing is, seniors most of the time have their picks already determined. So last year in his first year, a lot of the players he were recruiting were probably juniors and sophomores. So
that's true. So yeah,
we still may have to wait a couple of years to see what his actual recruits end up doing. But I know a few of them. May have changed their offers or whatever, but still.
Yeah. Summary of the story. Summary of the story. That was a really stupid move to get rid of Jim Harbaugh. Great coach.
Yeah. But anyways, we're going back to the Bills and them getting rid of Greg Roman. He wasn't I would say a hot coaching candidate, but if he ended up having the same success last year with this Bills offense, who's been completely dysfunctional the past 10 years, he could have been a head coaching candidate. I think this really goes back to Rex losing control and
Yeah.
having to find someone else to put the blame to, because the offense wasn't great, but the defense has been much worse. And if you go
the
back to
defense
it, I
is
think
pathetic.
if you go back to it, Tyrod Taylor's a lot of the fault and blame can go to him, not Greg Roman. I know they're not throwing it as much as Rex is wanting to, but the reason they're not is because Tyrod Taylor hasn't really had that much success in the passing game through 2 weeks, and he wants to establish the running game, which was the best in the league last year. And they're going to hurt all year, I think, without Carlos Williams. They can still sign him. They don't have to wait 4 games for a suspension, which is stupid. It should be after week 4 that they can just sign him, but he has to be on the active roster for the suspension to, I think, be effective.
A team should just pick them up just to like end his suspension and be like, all right, bye.
Yeah, the thing is, we don't
I'm-
have a true between the tacklers runner, and they want to establish the ground and pound. That was Rex. That was Rex's terminology, not Roman. Roman was actually the one who was almost tailoring his offense, no pun intended, to Rex with the ground and pound. He could have done more of like the play action, zone read type of stuff with Taylor, but he hasn't really ended up airing the ball out as much because Rex wanted their identity on offense to be based with Taylor. And we could see a change with Anthony Lynn. I don't think we're going to see one. We could end up going backwards. He's never called plays at the NFL level. And the offense can't really change too much because it's still they're not completely changing the playbook or the offense up. They'll change a few schematic things here and there. I don't think it's going to be a positive move, though. I still think the Bills' offense is going to need to put some work in. It really relies on Taylor, Watkins, and Shady turning it around this season because neither one of them have even been a shell of their themselves from the previous couple of seasons, because Taylor was pretty great last year. It wasn't like amazing, but he had a solid season. He hasn't looked great. McCoy,
not yet.
But he ended great. And Watkins had a great end of the year. So maybe it's just they're all strong finishers, but they're going to have to play strong over these next few weeks.
Yeah, they're still, they're missing a lot of stars. I still think they'll be okay. Like, they have looked pretty bad the last 2 weeks. But like you were saying, the defense has been absolutely pathetic last week. How the hell do you allow Ryan Fitzpatrick to look like Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and like freaking Harambe all together? Rest in peace, Harambe. At once, like that's pathetic, especially a team that's have a great
defense. He's trying to put these guys on an island. But if you watched the Minnesota game yesterday, we saw Trey Waynes got picked apart a little bit in the beginning of the game.
Exactly, but he doesn't give up on plays like freaking Gilmore.
But the thing is,
Gilmore's like, I'm doing bad, so I'm just going to quit.
On an island on the outside. But what they did differently is they had a pass rush. Every play, Aaron Rodgers faced getting to the ground. The Bills looked to have a decent pass rush week 1, but they didn't rely on the pass rush. They start off strong, but then they stopped blitzing or whatever. So I think that has to do with Rex being scared, trying to hoping that Fitzpatrick ends up reverting to his former self, which is you don't know what to expect with Fitzpatrick. That's one of the things. And he has had great performances, and this is one of the great performances. He rolled the dice. He ended up paying the price on I don't
know. I'm still pretty mad, though. Whatever.
Yeah. We'll see. Arizona's coming to town. They have a cross-country trip, changing time zone, so they'll have to – I think it's going to be – the 1 o'clock game will technically be at 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock because of the clock changes.
So it'll be a 9 o'clock game over there played at 8 o'clock in the morning. So they're they're losing another hour, which isn't helping them.
Yeah, let's hope their plane is like delayed so that they get here even like earlier or like have even less
they
rest.
Get here after the game began.
All right, I need to make a phone call. Let's throw Carson Wentz. But yeah, another breaking news, Broncos insider, DeMarcus Ware has an ulnar fracture in his elbow. He'll miss 4 to 5 weeks. What does that mean? How will this affect the Denver defense?
It won't. They have Shane Ray, who's been
Yeah.
pretty good, and Von Miller. He's been a piece of the puzzle, but come on, they didn't. They need him, so to speak, but yet they also don't need him. That's the thing.
Yeah, but apparently he also missed a lot of, like, I think 5 weeks last year. So they'll be fine, like you said. They still have Shane Ray, Von Miller, Derek
Their
Wolf.
defense is
They'll
great
be fine.
overall.
Shane Ray's actually a really good player, and he's a much younger athletic
wait.
player, so
Okay.
he'll be fine.
Oh, so Jacob's been spamming the comments. You guys still on?
Oh,
hey,
Lord.
hey, love that, man. Hey, man, I'm coming back to YouTube. F the Bills.
Hey.
Falcons will win the division. I feel bad for that, man. I didn't even see any of this because I didn't open up the YouTube video. Me too, man. Bears will upset. We picked the Bears to win, by the way. Jacob, if you're still on, give us another comment. We see you.
Yeah, Jacob, we love
Wentz
you, man.
looks good. Okay. Didn't open up the YouTube video. Me too, man. Bears will upset. We picked the Bears. Are you opening up our video?
Yeah, I accidentally clicked on it.
Jacob, are you still on? Oh, you're here. Sup? How's it going, man?
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Here, give us a question or something to talk
Yeah, if
about.
anyone has any questions, please comment them below. We'll gladly answer them.
Bills could pick him up. Bills could pick. Oh, yeah. I think that was about Carlos Williams. Give me a shout out. You have a shout out now. Oh, my gosh. Trent Edwards. You should see one of his comments. I'm not going to read it. It's hilarious. Oh, my gosh. I don't even know what to think about it. Jacob, ask us a question. Okay, what we're talking about, Bills defense, offensive struggles. Yeah. So pretty much the Bills, I don't have any expectations left this season. McCoy,
I really don't.
their running game hasn't looked good. And the thing is, our running game, we cut Carlos Williams because we had Bush and Jonathan Williams, and neither of them have even gotten any touches. Mike Gillislee hasn't even gotten a touch. And he looked great at the end of last year.
Didn't he get hurt? Didn't he have a concussion?
No, he that was in preseason. He's played
Preseason
the regular
was it?
season.
Okay.
Yeah, week 2 of the preseason.
Oh, okay,
Shouldn't have
okay.
really affected him. See,
Yeah.
anything else we missed? NFL week 1 wise? I remember
I'm trying to think. What about college? Are we going to talk a little bit about that? The college weekend?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know if we should talk about that. I went 0-4 in my
We
picks.
don't have to.
Yeah, this is mostly
You went
NFL
0-4?
show. Yeah, you
Yeah,
went
it is.
1-3.
We'll talk a little bit NBA. We'll talk a little NBA when that comes back.
2-2. Yeah, we will talk NBA.
We'll talk some more
Jacob.
series, right? When that comes around.
I don't know. I'm not really a baseball commentator. I watch it, but
Yeah, well,
let's see.
there's 5 fans out there. They want to hear it.
Oh, they definitely do. Let's talk about our power rankings because things really shook up a little bit. New England,
Well,
they got us not really really shook up, but they did a little bit, nothing too major, but New England bumped down. Cincinnati moved slightly down, but they played a pretty good opponent. They didn't get destroyed or anything. I'd have to send Green Bay down, definitely. Minnesota moves up. Carolina, they move up a little bit. Houston moves up. Kansas City moves down. So right now, I still got Denver staying at 1. Pittsburgh goes to 2. Minnesota goes to 3. New England's at 4, and Arizona's at 5. And after that, I'd probably have to say 6 would probably be Carolina, and then 7, Houston.
Houston.
Past that, I don't really know as much, but maybe the Giants at 10. I don't know.
Yeah, at 1, I still got Denver. They're there until they lose for me because, they still won the Super Bowl and they beat very good Panthers team. Still a good Colts team. Number 2, I have New England. Unfortunately, they're still winning without half their players and they're blowing teams out. At least they were the offense for a little bit. So they're 2. Number 3, I moved up Minnesota. They beat a great Packers team, or great quote unquote. 4, I got Pittsburgh. And 5, I have Carolina. And then, Cincy, Green Bay, Houston, they're all still up there. And Arizona. So. All right, we'll post those tomorrow on our Twitter page too, our full top 10 power rankings.
He's doing something.
I'm waiting to see if anyone has a question. Well, yesterday you didn't have Minnesota 3, did you? I have to say, one thing I have to say is just thinking about it, Arizona, to me, I still think they're a better overall team than Carolina. They both lost week 1 tough ways, but I still think Arizona, to me, they're just slightly better than the Panthers. Panthers haven't overwhelmingly wowed me so far. And what is your opinion on Greg Roman being fired and still having to pay him for another 2 years? We already told us. We're kind of not really indifferent. We don't think it's a great move. Anthony Lynn is inexperienced, and offense hasn't been really great either way. So you can't really – I don't really think you can blame Roman on this one. It's just Rex just has to find someone to blame, and he's going to – Roman, unfortunately, had to take the fall.
Take the blame for himself, yeah.
Oh, Wentz almost threw a pick right there. 4th and 7.
Go for it. No, just kidding.
No, they won't. Wentz looked pretty good so far.
Yeah, good for you, my man. Shout out to you, EDP445.
Last week, I remember in my takeaways from week 1, I had the play of the young quarterback really surprising me. This week, I think that the young quarterbacks moved down slightly just because I know Mariota had a pretty decent game. But Garoppolo went out, so we didn't really weren't able to really test his performance or rate his performance. Dak had a pretty big win. Besides that, Winston, Carr, and I believe who else? Bortles. Yeah, they all had pretty bad performances. Carr wasn't terrible, but still, Oakland wasn't able to get the job done. So I would have to move some of the young quarterbacks down in terms of their performances. It just really, as I said earlier in the show, it changes week to week because these guys are young players and they're just gaining experience and they're inconsistent. Like Winston, as we saw last week, he was amazing. This week he was mediocre.
Yeah, exactly. So it changes. No big deal.
So when's our next show, I think?
I think we're doing Friday? Friday, and then Sunday we'll be live periscoping.
Yeah, we hope to be back periscoping. Yeah, we'll be talking about the Bills game. We'll be flipping on some other NFL games. But thanks, everyone. Jacob,
thank you, everyone,
for watching our video or tuning into the live stream. Hopefully more people will watch our recap.
Yeah, I'm starting to get hit up a lot on my phone, though, about a lot more viewers, so we're definitely getting up there.
Yeah. We actually had a pretty famous Cowboys fan tune into our show the other day.
Yeah.
Ryan Hampton.
Love that, man.
Well, thank you guys for watching. We'll be uploading more videos Friday, obviously periscoping, and like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.
Peace.
See you, Matt.
See you, bro.